Family, how you doing? How you doing? This is the day that the Lord has made. We choose to rejoice and be glad in it. All that it has, rejoice and be glad in it. I want you to know on this glorious Saturday afternoon that the worst is over and the best is yet to come. You have to continue to say that, declare those words with me, because the worst is over and the best is yet to come. Therefore, your quality of life is getting better and better and better. I don't care how it looks in the midst of all this that's going on, this coronavirus, race wars, up and down, this and that. Your quality of life is getting better and better and better. Declare that with me. And because of that, you shall live and not die. The doctor's giving you a bad report, chaos all around you. You feel like quitting. You feel like your body's failing. You feel like your mind's failing. You feel like your ability's failing. Everything around you's failing. And you saying, listen, I might as well just give up, throw in a towel. But no, not so. God says, you shall live and not die. You got to believe that. You have to believe that with me. I want to go back and piggyback on something that I said on last week. And I came out of John chapter 4 in the 4th verse, where Jesus, he said that I must, there's something that I must do. I must needs go through Samaria. Now understand, he didn't say I have to stop there and dwell there. He says that I got to go through it, through whatever that situation is. Jesus said that I'm come to go through it. Many of us today, we don't understand that we are plagued. We are tormented by something that Jesus needs to come and go through it. So I don't want to belabor this point about social justice or injustice, but it's necessary that we talk about that. I don't want to belabor the point about race matters or racial tensions that are beating us down all across the world, and even across the world, country and globally, is beating us down everywhere. This pandemic, this coronavirus has caused everything to surface in 2020. And it's become polarized, the indifferences that we share with one another, good and the bad and the ugly. Sometimes we don't realize how bad it is, but it is here, and God is rolling the covers back now to show us that there's a problem, there's an issue, and that we have to address this the best that we can. And we've been trying to do that, but we've been trying to do it in the absence of Jesus. But he says that I must go through Samaria. Now, we can take this and make it applicable to social issues, racial issues, but what about those issues that are in our homes between a husband and a wife, between a father and a son, a mother and a daughter, or any combination of those things, brother and sister, whatever that may be, a friend that's not in the house, but, you know, someone that you are acquainted with. And there are differences that we need to mitigate. We need to be able to work through them and get through them and get past them. And so in our text today, we see that Jesus is confronting something that many people in that day, they did not want to confront, because there was differences in the hues of skin and the genealogy and the bloodline and what have you, whatever it may be. And that's really the key thing here, is not so much color. It's not so much, you know, the hue, the skin tone, but it's the differences. It's the differences, not so much lineage, not the bloodline, not where you know, all that. It's the differences that you hold and you esteem up here. Jesus is coming to deal with that part of the situation, because that is the crux of the matter. And so when he looks at this, you have people that are, it's an indelible inward etched in issue of a heart. And some of us, we hold it so dear of what happened to us. You know, something happened to me when I was 8 years old and when I was 9 years old. And, you know, my uncle did this, or my dad, he did this, or my mother did this, or my brother did this. You know what happened to you. And as a result of that, it's bad blood. It's bad blood. It's tension. It's tension. Well, historically, that was something that was going on with the Jews back in that time, because of the northern kingdom of Israel was captured. And as they were captured, the Assyrians somewhat took possession of bodies. But over a period of time, they began to associate with those bodies in ways that they communed. And the communion turned into relations, physical relations. And out of that, they started to establish mulattoes, or half-breed children, that they later called Samaritans. And so there was a conflict between the Samaritans and the Jews. They had issues. And so we all can look at that, and however you want to slice it and dice it, of things that has happened in the past that we have not been able to get over, and we have issues even to this day because we won't let it go. And so I want to talk a little bit today about how Jesus resolves issues, whether it be race, whether it be a husband and wife, whatever it may be, sister, brother, brother, sister, mom, dad, whatever the case may be, exes, all that stuff. He says, I have a method. If you can hear it, if you can receive it, then you can be healed by it and you can be delivered from it. So we get to this juncture. Jesus is going from Judea to Galilee, but on the way, he says, I'm not going to do the way that you would do it. You're going to go around the situation. I can't go around it. I got to go through it. I got to go through it. I got to visit. I got to come and meet it head on. That's the problem. The problem is that we don't want to deal with stuff. I remember many years ago, as a early on in my career in maintenance, I was a pipe fitter, and I was just getting out of my first apprenticeship program, which was I was a pipe fitter in the apprenticeship program. Hadn't reached journeyman status yet, but I was just getting out of school, and so I had to go and get my extra hours and all that stuff in order to really establish myself as a journeyman pipe fitter. But in doing that, there was a problem in the place that I worked at, and it was in this area. They called it the Pickle Line. And over there, it was full of acid lines. And in these acid lines, every now and then, the pipe would burst. And as the pipe would burst, for the pipe fitters, they would get 3 whistles. And we would be in the pipe shop, and it could be 3 whistles. And depending on, you know, who went out the last time, we kind of took turns or whatever. So this just happened to be my turn, and it blew for the Pickle Line, and I was new. So, you know, I'm going over there, not with a journeyman. They say, you know, go over there and check it out. So when I get over there, I see it's acid that's coming from the pipe. And I was always told that, you know, acid will burn right through you, especially this type of acid that they had. It was killer acid. I mean, this stuff would go on the steel and it would just eat right through this stuff, right? To, you know, do whatever it's supposed to do. So I knew that I was only going to get so close to it. Well, once I saw what it was, because it became very problematic to me, what I did was I made my way back to the shop. Okay. As I was making my way back to the shop, the general foreman of maintenance, he saw me and he was coming over to check on me to see what was going on. And so he says, hey, he says, Eatman, hey, where you going? I said, hey, the pipe over here busted. I said, that's the acid pipe that's busted. And he said these words to me that continues to minister to me to this day. He says, you don't run from the problem. He says, you run to the problem. That's what you're here for. He says, you're not here to, he says, we're here to solve it. We're not here to run from it. And see, so a lot of us, we don't want to address these issues that we have within the land, races, personalities, differences, relationships, either present relationships or past relationships. And they have pressed upon us this hatred and this thing in our heart that we just like, listen, I don't even want to deal with it. Before I deal with that, before I speak to him, before we shake hands, before we acknowledge one another, before we conversate, before we dine in the same room, I'll just go around the other way. I don't care if it takes me extra 10 days. I don't care if it takes me extra 2 weeks. I don't want to see his face. I don't want to see her face. I'm going to go around. Well, Jesus says, no, no, no. That's not the way you do it. It's not the way you do it, white people, black people. Y'all got to go head on. You got to come over where it's bleeding. You got to come over where it's real bad. And you got to look it in the face, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. And if you allow God to do it through you, he can arrest those differences in both parties, and he can start to mend the pipe, as it were. He can start to show you where to turn off the pumps, where the acid is being pumped through, and all those things where we start getting to the root cause of the problem, so you can address it where it hurts, where it's spewing out, where it's causing problem and harm and danger, where it's not productive any longer. He says, I must needs go through Samaria. I can't go around it. I'm trying to get to Galilee. But before I get there, and see, this is an issue with us. We all want to take, you know, a shortcut. But when you see the problem, you don't want to deal with the problem. You want to go around it. But you got to get over to point B. But in order to get to point B from Judea, you got to go through Samaria to get to Galilee. And you can't get to Galilee and with the attitude that you have. You can't get to Galilee with the behavior that you exhibit. You can't do it. So some things you got to let go. I know your mother disappointed you. I know your father disappointed you. I know that your son was taken from you. I know that your daughter was taken from you. I know that they didn't do the job right and you got overlooked on promotion. And I understand that they got a bad heart. And I get all that. I get all of it. But at the end of the day, You can't run from it. You got to stay in the fight. And in the fight means that I got to go through it. I got to go to it. So how does Jesus show us how this whole thing works? Jesus said, hey, listen, I'm going to deal with this. And this is the process to eradicate the tension. I don't want to keep dwelling on racial tension and all that, but offenses. I'll call it offenses, because that's what we need to understand, black people, white people. They are offenses that have been very egregious to us emotionally, to us spiritually, to us physically, to us socioeconomically. They have hindered the process. And as a result of it, we become very bitter and unproductive. And so he says the first thing that you need to do is, on this journey to recover, the first step to recovery is to address it, to go to it and face it head on. How many of y'all out there right now and you saying, listen, I just can't do it? As long as you say that you can't do it, it's going to continue to be the relationship that it's always been. You got to pick the phone up. And on the other end, you got to answer the phone. You got to be receptive to, hey, can we have lunch? Let's go to breakfast. Why don't you come over? Why don't you invite them over? Or whatever the case may be. Can we sit down and talk about it? And let me tell you this. Well, the other thing that we do is we say with our mouth that, listen, it's over. It was done. I'm done with it. I'm good. I don't have no issues with that person. But in our heart, there's an issue. In our heart, there's an issue. When you get around that person, you can feel it. You can cut the air with a knife. It's just that tense. So we've got to get beyond that if we're going to bring healing to the land. Go back, 2 Corinthians 7:14. Got to revisit that. There's some things in there that the Lord tells us to do. And he says, after we do these things, he says, and then I will heal the land. So we've got these offenses that we need to deal with. Number two, the Bible says that Jesus asked her, he says, woman, the Samaritan woman, once he got to Samaria, this woman comes to the well that he's at. And he says to this woman, he says, can you give me to drink? In other words, what he said was, give me what you have. Give me what you have been holding on emotionally, intellectually, religiously, spiritually, however endearing that has been to you, that you have embraced it with heart, mind, body, and soul. He says, can you give me, give that to me, give that to me, so I want to drink a little bit of it. I want to drink a little bit, see how good that is, and see how, as Dr. Phil would say, and how's that working for you? Give it to me. Watch now. So Jesus says, give me to drink. Give me what you are accustomed to. Give me what you trust in so much. Give me what you believe in, what you have held on to. Because we hold on to stuff. We hold on to grudges. We hold on to it with our life. Jesus said, give it to me. And as we give this to Jesus, point number 3, he's saying, I want to exchange it. And as we continue to read this text, he says, I want to exchange what you have for what I have. He says, I'm going to offer you something that's going to be life-changing, that's going to be forever. It won't be a drink that, I can go give me hit a blunt, or I can go get a drink and I can feel better for the moment, or I can go get a man, or I can go get a woman, or I can just feel hatred. I can allow hatred to to rage and ravish my soul and my body like a cancer, and I'll feel good in the moment knowing that it's destroying me. He says, no, he says, give all that to me, because the stuff that you drinking ain't no good. You don't know it ain't no good. I know it ain't no good. And I am going to exchange it for something that has everlasting life that's attached to it. It's going to be a trade-off. He says, give me your hate for love. Give me your hate. Cantankerous, damaging, hate. Give it to me for love. Give me your unforgiveness for my forgiveness. Everlasting. And give me your convictions for my word. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good place to praise God right there. That's a good place for a praise break and a hand clap and all that. Give me your convictions. Oh, I could stay right there for a minute. For my words. Let me give you my words that have everlasting life attached to it. See, what he said was, he says, if you take and you drink of my water, you'll never thirst again. But that water that you so accustomed to, oh, you're going to keep on needing to drink. You're going to keep on needing a hit. You're going to keep on needing a woman. You're going to keep on needing a man. It's so many of us right now that, you know, you trying to figure it out. Well, if I get me a sugar daddy, or if I get this, I'm going to figure out a way, manipulation and all that kind of stuff that, you know, Because see, the truth of the matter is we don't have answers. That's the reason why the people in blue have the spirit upon them that they do. That's the reason why race is such, there's so much weight and so much tension with it right now. We don't have answers. We don't have answers. That's the reason why husbands and wives are having the issues that they are having. Sons and fathers are having the issues that they're having. Mothers and daughters are having the issues. Relationships issues. We want to love. You have somebody that you have an attraction to, but you say, listen, I just can't get along with them. I don't know. I can't fix it. I've been in this thing for 6 months. I've been in it for a year and 6 months. And it just don't seem like we get to this place right here. It's a rough spot and we can't get any further than that. And you know why you can't get any further than that? Because you keep on drinking from Jacob's well. Jacob's well. See, that was the problem right there. And Jesus came, he says, oh, okay, yeah, this little piece, this is the centerpiece, this is the focus. It's the fulcrum. It's the place where everything pivots. All your emotions, all your beliefs, all your convictions, they just kind of pivot back and forth from Jacob's well. Oh yeah, well, Jesus, you know whose this is, right? You know, well, you know, we put our trust in Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and Donald Trump and in General Motors and in GE and whatever it might be. And I'm a doctor and I'm a lawyer and I have a PhD and I have 2 PhDs. And so you got all this stuff that is at the well that you depend on. The well that was left for you. You know, and there's nothing wrong, you know, get the education. Daddy said, you know, education was good. Mama said education was good. And we're going to leave this for you. There's an endowment for you. This is what we want you to do. And all that's good. I'm not sure what's in it. I don't know what kind of training is in it. I don't know if this training in it is just. I don't know if it's righteous. I don't know about all that. Obviously not. Because you keep going to it and it's not bringing any resolve. It's not bringing any healing. Okay, so there's something wrong. So Jesus is saying, give me your conviction for my words and you will thirst no more. Give that to me. Okay, so now that's point number 3. Point number 4, Jesus, now at this point, because here we're going to get to the relationship. Points first 1 through 3 deals with your heart. It deals with you. Jesus dealing with you. But now point number 4, he starts to deal with what's around you. So he says here, after he massages the heart a little bit, and then his disciples, which were with him, which were Jews, because Jesus don't never come to just correct one thing. He says, I'm gonna make this thing full circle. So he don't do a work over here without doing a work over there. So he says, I'm just not going to do this. And I'm a Jew. I'm not just going to do this for you. I'm not here just to check you in. OK, because people seeing you with me and they know that you ain't supposed to be affiliated, associated with me. And so it's going to be some questions that's going to be asked. And I'm not afraid of that. That's the reason why I say that you have to go to it. In my first point, that you have to go to it, and you can't be scared. You can't be worried about what everybody going to think about you. OK, because you're doing the right thing. And when you start to do the right thing, you're going to get some pushback. You're going to get some resistance. You're going to get some people that ain't going to understand, because these folks don't understand the move of God. They don't understand that. You start getting white people and black folks delivered from one another now. Oh, that we've been dealing with that oppression for a billion years. OK, so how do you resolve that? Only God can do that. See what I'm saying? Only God. And that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. We talking about race on one hand, but we talking about a marriage on another hand. Something with two people in the same house, but they can't get along. And they ain't been able to get along for years, but they stay together. They in the house together, but they so far apart. Okay. So we have all this tension that's going on. So when Jesus had already sent his disciples all out, they sent them ahead to get some food. That's what they did. They didn't stop in Samaria initially. So they go on ahead to get some food, but then they come back. When they come back, Jesus said, oh, okay, well, you think I'm scared of you? You think I'm going to run now because you see me talking to what you have despised and what you have an issue with? That's your issue. And I'm here to take care of your issue. I'm here to address your issue, because your issue is of the devil. So what he does is he makes it public now. And Jesus said, now I'm going to show you how we link arms and healing is going to come about. Then my point number 5 is, Jesus openly, he declares peace with the woman, or the tension, in spite of the beliefs that surround him. In spite of that. That was point number 5. And so he deals with the issues and the mentality of his disciples, which is messed up. And I could go dig deeper in that, but for the sake of brevity, I won't. And I'm going to get my last point here so I can wrap this up in 2 minutes. Point number 6 was he addresses the crowd. Because see, once Jesus comes in and he starts to mitigate those issues